Hello everyone and welcome to Cherries Red Army, and we're live on YouTube and Twitter, but you might not be able to join us live because you may have other plans, but that's fine. Checking out this video, we really appreciate it. But if you are joining us live, let us know where you're joining us from. The chat is open. We're going to react to those fixture released day of the Premier League and AFC Bournemouth calendar. Going to have some guys from the channel joining me and a very special guest who's on with us. Introduce him in a moment, but let's come round the room. Aaron, it feels very real again. AFC Bournemouth are back in the Premier League.
Yeah, just about to say that. It's very real now, isn't it? And I'm sure we'll go through it in great detail, but yeah, quite a daunting set of fixtures, really, isn't it?
Steve, great to see you. I know we're having 8 less games this season. I'm sure you're going to be on the road an awful lot, but we're going to talk about that calendar list and Bournemouth back in the Premier League.
Yeah, I'll be racking up the miles again, no doubt. So, yeah, looking forward to a few of these. It's interesting how it's worked out. But, yeah, we'll get onto that. But, yeah, looking forward to it.
It's also a pleasure to welcome back onto the channel Gary Taphouse, professional commentator, local to Bournemouth, and I'm sure he's happy to have another local team on the list for his work next season. How are you doing, Gary?
Yeah, really good. Thanks, Kirk. Yeah, from a purely selfish point of view, I'm thrilled that Bournemouth are back up because I spent way too much time on the motorway network this last season or two. So, yeah, hopefully lots of trips to the Vitality coming up.
Brilliant. And as I said, let us know if you're joining us live in the chat. We'll show as many messages throughout the video as we can. And of course, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and get your thoughts at the end of the video in the comments if you couldn't join us live. Well, let's get straight into it. Let's look at the full fixture list for Bournemouth. We will break the calendar down for you, but let's take a look at that full list. It will start on the opening day, 6th of August, against Aston Villa at home. Remember, Aston Villa at home, that was our first ever Premier League game. We'll finish the fixture away at Everton. That was our last Premier League game before we ended up 2 seasons in the Championship. We're going to fill everything else up as well. But Gary, coming straight to you, Aston Villa at home. Remember that?
Wow, yes, I do, because, yes, 2015, I was at that game. Sky asked me to do that game, and I wasn't living in Bournemouth at the time. I think everyone on the EOB underestimated how long it would take to get to Bournemouth on a sunny Saturday in the summer holidays. There was a lot of people being redirected through the New Forest, me included. But yeah, I mean, very exciting at the time, wasn't it? Being back in the Premier League, and I think a lot of people were saying, well, they need to get off to a good start. I just felt on the day that they didn't freeze as such, but we didn't see the free-flowing football that was to come. And obviously, then Villa brought on Rudy Gested, and he scored a header from the corner, wasn't it? It was a very soft goal to concede in the end, and it was hugely disappointing. But funnily enough, the club have just tweeted the last time Aston Villa came down, and obviously they won through that Nathan Ake goal, and I did that one as well. And I think we all felt that they were staying up after that game. So there's definitely a little bit of history there. I think Villa are a better side now than they were then, actually. Equally, I think Bournemouth are probably a better side. So it should be a really good game. Great to welcome Steven Gerrard back down to Vitality for that one. I'm very much hoping to be there. Like I say, I've spent way too much time travelling up and down the country with Bournemouth not in the Championship. I did do some Championship games last season. I was at Stoke away and Reading away. I was there on Good Friday for the Middlesbrough game, but I think now they're back on Match Choice. I'll be doing a lot more, so very much looking forward to it. Very much hoping to be there. And I think as we're going to get onto with the fixtures that follow that game, I think it's really important to try and get off to a really good start, because it's a really tough August, isn't it? No getting away from it.
We will break into that batch 6 at the start of the season very shortly. Steve, I can remember that first ever Premier League game at home against Aston Villa. It was a lovely day. I thought we played okay on the day, but we did lose 1-0. It is going to be a different outfit this time round. We should be used to the Premier League in a sense under a different manager, different regime. But yeah, we're going to probably need to get something on the board early on.
Yeah, it's not very friendly at all, is it, that start? And yeah, harping back to that 2015 start we had, it was all new to us then, wasn't it? And it was, like you said, it was a lovely day. there was expectation. There was, it was such a buzz around the club. And like you say, I didn't think we played that awfully that day. I think what Gary said was good. It was a little bit of stage fright. We weren't the free flowing football we'd seen in the Championship from Eddie, but I thought we matched Villa very well that day. And Gested's a massive figure of a man, and he just dominated us in one corner. And that's the welcome to the Premiership. But hopefully, we will have learnt some lessons, and I don't think under Scott Parker, we won't play the same way as Eddie did, no doubt. But it'll be a good game. It'd be good to see who Villa bring in during the summer, because I hear there's a bit of money to spend there. So we could be seeing some very big names. They've already got Coutinho in. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and it's going to be exciting.
I'm sure we'll have new players, Aaron. Aston Villa might have new players. We're going to see how Scott Parker sets us up on that opening day. But we're going to need to try and do something and get something on the board. But can you remember much from that 2015-16 opening day against Aston Villa?
Yeah. I was behind the goal Rudy Gestede scored in. Was in with Ted Mack back in those days, back in the North Stand now. So yeah, right behind it. It was all, as Steve said, it was kind of, it was all a bit euphoric, the pyrotechnics at the beginning, and everyone was kind of just like, oh, well, look at these players, around us. So, but we're all a bit used to that now. So that kind of novelty won't be there, and it's kind of down to serious business. You look at the Premier League fixture list, and kind of the games we probably mark as the easiest were the hardest for us last season. So that shows how tough it is. But I think, as opening days go, it could have been harsher for us. Clearly, we're at home to a team who, wouldn't, I expect, be in the top 6 at least. But as Gary said, that the likes of West Ham, Villa, teams like that are much stronger than they were when we were last in the Premier League. So no game's easy, but I think it could have been worse. But then we've got some easy games after that, haven't we?
Yeah, something like that. And let's look at that opening section, the opening batch of the fixture list. And Gary, you did mention it, you touched on it. We're going to have a look at it in more detail. So we'll be at home against Aston Villa on the 6th of August, then away to Manchester City, which will include Haaland. Then we've got Arsenal at home, Liverpool away. We can also throw Wolves into that home, and then Nottingham Forest away. No easy game in the Premier League, though, Gary, but we're going to need to pick up some points early doors, because the aim of this game for us is trying to stay in the Premier League.
Yeah. Well, the first thing to say is I don't think if you ask Steven Gerrard, he wouldn't want to travel away to a promoted side on the opening day. That's a challenge for any side. Everyone wants to be at home on the opening day, try and get off to a good start. So I think there's going to be a little bit of pressure on the Cherries to get a good result when you look at the games that follow, because what you don't want is to be stuck on 0 points after the first 4 games, because it's an uphill battle. So like I say, I think they'll look at that Villa game and say, right, we're at home. We're facing a mid-table side, obviously one that wants to push up. They are looking at European football. They've got to try and be positive and get off to a positive start, because not many teams are going to go to Manchester City and get 3 points. It does happen, but it's rare. And the other 2 sides are obviously going to be right up there as well. So really, really tough start. I don't think anyone can get away from that. I don't think anyone at the club will be denying that. And if you've got 3 points from those first 3 games, I think you'll say that's not bad. Let's take that and move on. Let's take stock. There'll be teams that below Bournemouth if you've got 3 points at that stage. So I think they'll say that's not too bad a start. Obviously, things could get, they could have 3 fantastic performances in there and end up with more points. But I do think they'll be feeling a bit of pressure for that first game, because the 3 that follow are very, very, very difficult.
To agree with you there, Gary. George has also said Ming's own goal, I can see it on the opening day back at Dean Court. Jon Spark has said, get the worst 2 games out of the way early. I can remember, Steve, that I think we went to Liverpool after the Villa game originally back in the Premier League. And then we lost both games. And I was thinking to myself, I think I was walking around Asda thinking, I don't see when we're getting the first 3 points from. Then we went to Upton Park and got our first 3 points on the board. But like Gary says, it's a tough run in. If we don't get anything from Villa, you're going to start panicking early on.
I don't know about panicking, but there's, like Gary said, you want to get something on the board early doors, or it is a bit of an uphill struggle from there on in. I look at it as I'd rather get these tough games out of the way early when those sides aren't necessarily on a winning run of 6-7 games. You know, there's always that unpredictability at the beginning of the season. You're not quite sure how the teams are going to hit the ground running. That may play into our advantage. So I'd rather get them out of the way early doors. But if it does go the opposite way and we don't get any results from those first 5, it is going to be a bit of a grind after that. Because like we said before, no games are given at all, and you just keep looking at it and thinking there's a big team there every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So, but I'm confident we can pick up points along the way. Quite a few games in there. I think there's a draw in that, or there's a home win there. So I'm positive.
Aaron, imagine we get a win on that opening day. Does that almost give a free hit to Scott Parker at the Etihad? And then on the other side of the foot, if we don't win, what do we then do? Play 10 men behind the ball?
Look, I think you've got to be pragmatic about it. We're unlikely to get anything at the Etihad or Anfield. I think that's obvious. I don't think many teams will get anything at either of those two grounds. And as Steve said, and I think John said in the comments, it's not getting them out of the way necessarily because you've got more of a chance of beating them because they're a bit rusty, which might well be the case. But it's more just get them out of the way. That they are going to be, without doubt, the two hardest games of the season. We know Liverpool and City will be the top two, so they've gone. So whatever happens, we don't think, we've got to still go to Liverpool and City later in the season. So for me, every other game other than Liverpool and City, in reality, it's possible to nick something off because Arsenal aren't impregnable. The way we play. Certainly at home, we can get something against Arsenal, and every other team. So I think Scott will be pragmatic about it. I think if we can get a win, either Villa or Wolves, and maybe a draw in the other one or something like that, maybe pick up a point against Arsenal, get 3, 4, 5 points from those 5 games, I think we'll snap your hand off from it. Even 3 or 4 points, as you say, just get off the mark. I think was it our second or third season in the Premier League? We lost our first 4 games, and then we beat Brighton at home, and everyone, so we lost 4 in a row, and everyone thought we were doom and gloom. But you can come back from that. Even if we did, you're going to get teams in 17th, 18th, 16th who are still on only 2 or 3 points. So it's not the end of the world, as we've got those games out of the way.
Long season it will be. We'll get stuck into more of that on Bournemouth in a moment. But while we're talking about the early season, let's have a look at the opening day for everyone, Gary. When do you sort of find out when you're getting your game, should we say, for that week? But when we look at this fixture list, is there any other games in the whole of the Premier League that tickles your fancy?
No, I just want to beat Bournemouth. I will probably find out first week of July. They will announce the rest of the live games for August, and then we'll probably find out second week of July all our games for August and possibly September as well. I'm talking about match choice here, so not the live games, but the ones that are 3:00 Saturday and then they're shown live around the world and then on Sky later in the day. So yeah, I mean, if I'm not at Bournemouth Villa, there's going to be letters written to the Times about that. So I'm hoping that's a given. Yeah, I mean, obviously I did a lot of Southampton last year as well because that's the closest to me at the time. I'd be quite happy to alternate between Bournemouth and Southampton for the rest of the season, to be honest. Yeah, I'll find out second week of July, hopefully, and that's when it really starts to feel real. And the season, the close season gets shorter and shorter. I'm about to start work on the UEFA Under-19 Championships in Slovakia, and I'm doing all the England games in the final. So my last game will actually be the 1st of July.
Wow.
And it's a long season. And then obviously the Women's Euro starts. So the days of there being 3 months off are long gone. I'm managing to grab a little holiday. It means I missed the first week of the EFL season, actually, but that's the only time where we could grab a family holiday because the schools break up and then the season starts. So it's mad, really. It's crazy.
Well, make sure you take the opportunity just to have a little drink and refresh for your long season ahead of you. Steve, I know we're going to look at ourselves and focus on ourselves, especially early on, but looking at promotion teams as well, you've got the likes of Nottingham Forest that have got Eddie Howe's Newcastle. You've got Fulham, who are taking on Liverpool. it'd be nice for them to not pick any points up early doors as well.
Yeah, and you think the way that the fixtures have fallen, Newcastle obviously under Eddie have been flying in the second half of the season. You think they probably will continue that trend, and likewise Liverpool, Fulham. That's a dreadful start to the season, isn't it, for them? But yeah, I think there's a few other clubs. I mean, Brentford's not an easy one. Leicester, I think they may possibly suffer with that second season syndrome. Depends on who they get in through the summer, I suppose. Again, Southampton weren't convincing back end of the season. They really dropped off, fell off a cliff for me. I don't really know what happened there, but they've got a tough one at Spurs opening day. And again, Leeds is another one. Wolves was that I saw home to Wolves. I mean, that's a tricky game. So yeah, I mean, you'd like to think that those teams, have got harder. If I would say probably harder task than what we've got on the opening day of the season. So yeah, we could be looking at top of the league first day.
Right. As the season goes on, though, Aaron, there's going to be certain games that we're going to be looking for now. If you join us in the chat, you can even let us know in the comments if you watch this video back. What's the most exciting away game you're looking forward to this season? Do let us know. One team that's going to be high on that list, Aaron, is going to be Eddie Howe and Newcastle United. Now, we play them away on the 17th of September and at home on February the 11th. Look, there's going to be emotion behind this. We all love Eddie. We're not going to want to lose, but everyone's going to want to go to St James's Park and everyone's going to want to be at home for the home fixture as well. Definitely looking at this one when those fixtures came out.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we'll hopefully be at St James's Park, and we'll give Eddie the reception. Reception.
When is it, Aaron?
It's a potential clash for a weekend, but we might outweigh it 3-2 in our household, so we'll see how it goes. I can't let the boys down there, can I? So look, he never got the biggest killer for me when Eddie left was he never got the reception he deserved, along with likes of Callum as well. For me, he will get a tremendous reception before, after the game, both games. So I'm really, really looking forward to that one. And the good thing, we'll come on to some of them. The good thing about the Premier League is it's a very southern-based league, really. There's seven London-based clubs. You obviously got Southampton, Bournemouth, Brighton, a lot of Midlands clubs. So apart from the two Manchester, the two Liverpool, and Newcastle and Leeds, there's no northern games. So I'm looking forward to going to a lot of games this year. But yeah, Newcastle definitely stands out. And we'll be up in the clouds. But yeah,
it's not easy to make yourself heard up there, is it?
No,
it certainly isn't.
Already booking nights out, the fans are subscribers, followers. They're joining us currently, and they're all over Newcastle. It was always the one we were looking out for. Gary, this is going to be really interesting because from a sentiment point of view, we all love Eddie Howe, and we're going to be sitting there wanting to probably sing a song, which we can't sing. I'm sure we won't. But even now, even videos we do nowadays, Gary, we still refer back to Eddie Howe and what he did for us, and we still can't let go of it. It's going to be emotional. It's like Steve Cook when he came back playing for Forest. It's really difficult to not support them, but you want them to do well, but you don't want the Newcastle to beat Bournemouth.
Yeah, funny enough, I saw Eddie at Southampton towards the end of the season. I did Southampton Newcastle, and I had to interview him anyway, but we did have a little chat. And obviously, his roots are here. I mean, I think his family is still here. They haven't moved up to Newcastle yet. I think the plan was to maybe do that this summer, but as of then, they were still down south. He's from Burwood, isn't he? I think he's spent his whole life down here, basically. So yeah, there's obvious that connection is always going to be there. He loves the club. There's no getting away from that. I know he still keeps a massive interest in what's going on. I'm probably the only one out of the four of you that hopes I'm not at Newcastle Bournemouth, to be perfectly honest. There are games much closer to me that day. I've made the trip to St James's Park from here, and it's not easy, is it? So yeah, I'm hoping I might be a little closer to home that day. But it's certainly one I'll be interested in seeing what happens, because yeah, listen, I mean, obviously, what he did at Newcastle, regardless of the issues over money and Saudi and the rest of it, you can't argue with the sensational job that he did to not only keep them up, but get them soaring up the league. So, yeah, it didn't surprise me at all. I thought he'd do a fantastic job there, and I think he'll look to take that on. The only problem for him now is he going to be a victim of his own success, because the expectation levels will shoot up there again. There'll be more money spent. They'll be looking to try and get into the top six. And as we know, that is not easy, no matter how many resources you've got, because you're looking at established clubs who play European football every single year, and they're scrapping it out. So to try and break into that, it does happen, but it's rare. So he's going to face all different kinds of pressures again. So yeah, that'll be interesting. Like I say, the only problem for Bournemouth fans going up there is making themselves hurt, because it's just ridiculous, isn't it? You have to relax for half an hour just to get up there, set up base camp. I think it's ridiculous, to be honest. But having said that, I've covered games up there, and there are matches where the away fans have been incredibly loud. So good luck to you all.
Can I just jump in quickly, Kirk? Sorry, I was going to say on the singing his name. I don't think there's any problem with singing Eddie's name, because you look, United still sing about Ferguson, Liverpool go on about Shankly, Dalglish, but that's nothing against you. They love Jurgen Klopp. They absolutely adore Jurgen Klopp. But there's you go to Anfield, my friends, a lot of Liverpool fans, they sing Dalglish and Shankly's name the whole time. So I don't think it's anything against Scott Parker, and I'll be singing Eddie's name because he's a god and always will be. Do you think that if when they come to our place and say they take the lead in the game, do you think Eddie will celebrate at all? I think he will. I think he's professional. He'll be in the moment and in the zone, and it's a game of football at the end of the day. And during those 90 minutes, I think he will celebrate. He might not dance down the touchline, but that's not his style anyway, is it?
I'm sure there'll be a fist bump between him and JT maybe, but it'll be an interesting game, that one. Now, when we look at the fixture list, Steve, and we think, right, where can we get potentially 36 points? That seems to be an average point for the last 5 seasons, about 36. We know we're going to get 6 from Chelsea. So we know we can beat them on the road, and we do all right at home against them. Yeah, and we've got VAR to help us, so that's fine. Sorry? Boxing Day for Chelsea. Yeah. There is that Chelsea thing, isn't there? They probably don't want to see us. They were probably glad to see the back of us, and now they're hating the fact that we're back again. But they're a different Chelsea. We're a different Bournemouth. So I'm not necessarily buying into that sort of narrative again. I think we're going to be looking at the teams in and around us that going to be bottom half. We've got to be picking up points against the likes of Saints, for example, Fulham, Nottingham Forest, Brentford, Leeds, those sorts of clubs. I think we will get the odd result which we're not expecting. I'm sure we did it most seasons. So yeah, I think there's enough in there that we can certainly make a good fist of it and give ourselves a good chance of staying up. Charlie says she's love that I'm watching this with a Chelsea fan. We'll hopefully love that we get 3 points against Chelsea and be even better for you, Charlie. Aaron, another team that Steve mentioned there, they're only up the road. Gary's hoping to get this fixture twice. He's hoping to get the fixture at St Mary's and Dean Court. It's Bournemouth versus Southampton. We finally beat them at St Mary's. It was a great night. I think it was a Friday night, 3-1. Callum Wilson scored. We're looking forward to this fixture. We see them as a team that's local to us. They don't see us as a rival, but it is one that we look at when the fixtures were released. Yeah, no, definitely. I expect they will be looking at us as a rival this season, because I think Steve already mentioned that they, for me, are one of the potential clubs who might be below us, or hoping to be below us. There's not many of them out there, but they certainly are one of them. I mean, Hassan Hüttl, I think, goes up and down. 1 minute he's the best manager in the world, next minute he's got to be out. Very much mirror Southampton's season. So yeah, they're ones for me. I don't think they're anything special. I think they're certainly ones we can get at. We got to get over this whole kind of trying to intimidation of them, which always seems to happen. When we played them in the cup a few years ago, we just seem to just fall apart. So yeah, we have beaten them obviously home and away now. So yeah, both midweek games, I think, under the lights. So whether they get moved for TV or not, they'll stay midweek. So that's something to look forward to. And yeah, I really think we can go at Southampton this year and certainly be rivals with them in the lower half of the table. Sure, I would imagine. Yeah. Yeah, Gary, I'd take 17th all day long. I'd take anyone's hand off for 17th. But when you look at teams that you want to finish above, one of them is Southampton. I'm with Aaron on the Ralph Hasenhüttl. I think he does really well. Then he loses 9-0. Then everyone thinks his job's, up for grabs. Then he comes back and wins 4 out of 5 games. But we in 2016 had our best finish in the Premier League of 9th. And I think if we had beaten Leicester on the last day of the season, we would have gone above them. I'd love to finish above Southampton, but it's going to be a clash of 2 teams that has 30 minutes between them.
Yeah, well, I saw a lot of Southampton last year, probably did half their games. And Steve put it beautifully when he said they fell off a cliff. I mean, they were so bad. There were a lot of rumours that Hasenhüttl was going to lose his job this summer, and I think discussions were had on that. I think the age-old problem is, who do you get? I think, the players do like him. A lot of the fans like him because he's not someone who is going to be circumspect and just look to sit in. He always wants to play a certain way, which is why you'll end up losing 9-0. I was there for the Chelsea game when they lost 6-0 at home, and frankly, that should have been double figures. Chelsea had a big Champions League game a few days later, so they eased off. But that was one of the most embarrassing performances I've ever seen, actually, in the Premier League. So, yeah, they did go off a cliff. And I think there are fans of Southampton that I know who are worried. They are worried about the season coming up because they were on a downward trajectory. There's no getting away from that. There were a few times where they were relying on little bits of magic from James Ward-Prowse from a free kick, desperately hoping to keep a clean sheet. They kept very few. Obviously, Fraser Forster has now left as well, so there's goalkeeping issues. So, yeah, I think Bournemouth have got nothing to fear from Southampton. I know the record hasn't been great, but they've got nothing to fear there. I think Southampton are going to be one of the teams that Bournemouth will look to finish above. And as you say, if you're looking at 17th, then immediately you think, well, who are the 3 teams that we could finish above? And I actually think, as you've alluded to, there's maybe 5 or 6 teams in that list. So there's a lot of reason for optimism as well.
Going to be a lot of scrapping down the bottom of the Premier League you expect this season. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Also hit the like button and make sure you get your thoughts in the comments. We'll read every single one. And as we end towards the end of the season, Steve, we might be scrapping to get to those 36, 37, 38, whatever we might need to survive. And our final 6 games will be upon us. We will have Southampton away midweek. Leeds will come to town, to Dean Court. We'll have Chelsea at home, Crystal Palace away, Man United at home, and again, Everton away. We won there last time. We got relegated on the day, but they're our final 6 games. When you look at them, are you fancying yourselves to pick up enough points to stay up?
Yeah, I think Everton's actually a really interesting one for me because of the season they've had last season. New manager in there. We've got a pretty good, pretty good record against them. If I remember rightly, we've picked up quite a few points in the games we've played against them during the Premier League seasons. So I can see us picking up points against the likes of those. I can see Palace picking up points against them. Although I think Palace have last season, I thought they played really well. I thought there's some really good talent in that side. Patrick Vieira's obviously got them playing. The likes of Eze and obviously got Will Sahar. They got game changers in that team. Also, you got Leeds, Southampton, West Ham. They're all games you think, well, we could get points here. All get points at those games. And not far before that, we've got Fulham at home. So there's definitely. I mean, it's quite nicely spread out. I think it lends itself to quite an interesting. It all depends on how it goes for us in the remaining first half of the season. But if we're desperate for points, I can see that as quite a favourable run-in, to be fair.
Aaron, I mean, as we go into those games at the end of the season where we're going to probably need a fresh squad, pick up as many points as we can, we will get a break because of the World Cup. You're going to have space between something like the second week in November, and then we return, I think, for Boxing Day, if I'm right. Gary might know more about that.
Yeah.
But is that going to help us? Because I don't expect any Bournemouth players to be in the England squad. I mean, I'm trying to think of the internationals that we have, but will we be able to be quite fresh through that period going into the second half of the season? And notoriously, that's the spell we normally struggle in.
You'd like to think so. So, yeah, I mean, we do struggle in kind of late November normally and then going into winter. But, yeah, as you say, no England players. I mean, Keith will be Wales. Yeah, Dom, if he starts the season on fire. Yeah, Keith will be Wales. Brooksy, if he gets gets fit, would be in the Wales camp. Obviously, Scotland didn't make it. Denmark are there, I presume. So Phil Billing might get a call up. But yeah, I mean, I think Colombia didn't make it either. So I can't think of many, if any, of our. So it's a chance for refresh, maybe a kind of a camp away or whatever it might be. So yeah, hopefully we'll have a bit of an advantage. Certainly, as Chelsea will have a load of internationals coming back for that Boxing Day game from the World Cup. So it might be an advantage there. But yeah, look, we get an extended mid-season break, as you say. I'm not sure how we'll handle it. The other way of looking at it is kind of 5-6 weeks without any competitive football. Will we be a bit rusty? But yeah, I mean, I guess there's pros and cons of that.
Gary, what's your view on this different season that we're going to expect because of the Qatar World Cup? And we can look at these fixtures. We can say we're going to pick up points here. Obviously, clubs haven't done their transfer business, but this is a Premier League. You've seen it all. You've done enough games. You know that we're probably not expected to pick anything up at home to Chelsea, and we might. And teams will pick up points, and you might look at other clubs and think, well, that's all right. They're below us. They won't beat Liverpool, and they might go and get a draw against Liverpool. And it is just going to be one of those seasons where you've got to take them. But what's your thoughts on the different type of season we're going to have with that break?
Well, the first thing to say is that they've done away with the games on the 28th of December because everyone's just come back from international. So there's Boxing Day, and then there was actually a little break until New Year, isn't there? For the first time, we always play 26th, 28th. So that's something a little bit different. Makes sense as well. Will clubs have friendlies during that World Cup? I mean, friendlies open to fans. That's something that I'm sure some clubs are thinking about because it is a long time without competitive football. Yes, obviously teams will go off on camps, but it's not the same as playing games and playing games in front of supporters. So I'm sure some clubs are thinking about that. Obviously, I'll be busy because League One and League Two will still continue throughout the World Cup. So I think Sky will save some games for that period in League One and Two. It's going to be weird, isn't it? It's going to be very odd having that lengthy mid-season break. I think they've tried to cram in quite a lot of games before that second weekend in November. There's quite a lot of midweek action, and obviously there's kind of frenzied period after the start of the new year as well. So we've just got to get on with it, haven't we? We've known about it for a long time. I don't agree with it. I think it was a mistake, but it was never going to change. So we're just going to have to crack on. And like I say, let's see what the club does, and what other clubs do. Are they just going to say, right, we've got 5 weeks off? Are we going to just have training camps, or are we going to have proper friendlies against other clubs? Be very interesting to see what happens there.
This is a gut feeling, though, Gary, from yourself. But do you expect the likes of Bournemouth and any teams playing around in the bottom 10 to potentially have a better chance against some of these top teams where all or most of their players will be in this international tournament?
Yeah, it can. Like you said, it can go either way, can't it? There could be a freshness, but there could also be a rustiness. I think being in a major tournament, if you talk to players who've been at World Cups, it does take an enormous amount out of you, particularly if you get to the latter stages, not just physically but emotionally as well. So players are going to come back, and instead of going off on holiday, they're going to be straight back into the second half of the season, which is just so bizarre. I think the World Cup final was the 21st of December.
The 18th. The 18th, yeah,
a few days before. Yeah, so they'll come back and play a week later on Boxing Day. I mean, I think that's mad, personally. If some of those players are getting to the final. So, like I say, look, we've just got to get on with it. It's not ideal. It could work in Bournemouth's favour or other clubs' favour. Equally, those guys have been playing a lot of competitive football, and they'll just be carrying on. So that could work in their favour too. I think we're just going to have to wait and see. But one thing we can all be sure about is it's not ideal. from an England perspective, I know people were saying, well, the players won't be as knackered as they usually are in the summer. Well, yeah, but that applies to everyone else as well. So, let's see. It's going to be weird. It's going to be very weird coming back for those games on Boxing Day when there's been no club football for 5 weeks.
Definitely.
Let's see what happens.
And a new football's been released by the Premier League as well. I think it's going back to the 1992, or there's something behind the new football that they've created for this season. So check that out online. They released that today. So the fixtures are out. Bournemouth will need to aim for something like 36, 37, 38 points potentially to remain in the Premier League. Quickly, guys, while we've got you here, the transfer window's open. Steve, Scott Parker and the team, Bournemouth, we're dipping around in the free transfers. We're expecting maybe Rothwell to drop as a signing very soon. We're also looking at Fredericks, and we're linked to many more. But we are going to be playing around in that free transfer on loan market, I expect.
Yeah, I think so. And we have been consistently, well, really, throughout the time of the Championship. And they've released that we're doing the work on the training ground as well, so that limits spend, I guess. So, yeah, I mean, it doesn't excite me that much, I must admit. I see the links with the likes of Rothwell and these other players, Fredericks, and it doesn't seem much of an upgrade for me on what we've already got. And I think we do need certain players in certain positions to be of a little bit better standard than I think we've had. So, I mean, it's early days in the window, so we don't know what will happen. Maybe there's a marquee signing in there somewhere. Who knows? But I can't imagine it's going to be much more than we've sort of heard about already. Nat Phillips is the one I think we really need to get done for me. Definitely need centre-backs. And cover at left-back, maybe a couple of wingers. I think I'll be happy then. But Scott likes a really big squad, doesn't he? So, it could be a very busy summer for us.
Definitely, Aaron. Agree with Steve. Scott Parker does like a large squad. We spoke to Jacob Tanswell and he reiterated that as well. But the players we're looking at are players that either Scott Parker's worked with already or knows very well from his time at either Bournemouth or Fulham. And there might be some outgoings as well.
Yeah, look, a lot of these go under the radar. It wouldn't surprise me if we suddenly announced someone that we haven't even been mentioned or linked with. I do think we obviously need to strengthen the squad. I think we're certainly short in defence. Nat Phillips is a must for me as well. And then if we let the likes of Chris Mepham go, James Hill likely obviously go on loan. Then we obviously need cover at centre back as well. So there's the dilemma there. Cover at full back. I think I'm just guessing here. I'd like to think there'll be like one marquee signing, maybe a forward on the left wing potentially. I think we've earmarked that position as maybe needing strengthening. Because, as you say, the likes of Rothwell will be a fantastic Championship signing. Can you do it in the Premier League? That remains to be seen. So, it's important having a big squad, but you want to flesh it out as well. And there will be outgoings. I'm sure the likes of Jack Stacey will probably move on. I mentioned Chris Mepham already if he wants to get in the Wales squad, and other players on loan, likes of Gavin Kilkenny. But yeah, look, the other side of the coin is it's great news that the training ground has started. I think, we don't want to blow tens and tens of millions of pounds to likely still potentially go down, like Norwich, Watford done, Fulham done in the past. We want to be competitive, and if we go down, be in a very good financial position to come straight back up again. So, yes, of course, you want to stay out this season, but we've got to be sensible about it, and pragmatic about it. And you could spend all the money in the world and still lose some of these games.
Gary, it's been brilliant to have you on the channel again. I want to get your final thoughts on Bournemouth this season. I know it's really early on. Squads haven't built their squads yet. But looking at Scott Parker, he finished 18th in his last managerial position in the Premier League with Fulham, only scoring 27 goals. We're going to need to score more than that. Are you interested to see how this Bournemouth team under Scott Parker does in the Premier League? And do you think, compared to other clubs that have come out and the teams that you've already spoken about that struggled last year, do you think the Bournemouth will do all right and come close to staying up?
Yeah, I do actually. I think what you're talking about, the squad, is interesting now. I was chatting to someone from Fulham the other day, and they're struggling with adding to the squad because of financial fair play, which has really come into play. They're looking at using their loans very wisely, and I think Bournemouth need to do that as well. I know Fulham looks like they're about to buy Manor Solomon from Shakhtar. He's brilliant, by the way. I've just covered 3 Israel games in the Nations League, and he was man of the match in all of them. So I think he'll be a terrific addition for them. And I think maybe, as you said, that's their marquee signing. Maybe Bournemouth have got one, but I think FFP is going to be an issue. And if they sign Nat Phillips permanently, then that frees up another loan. And I think those loans from Premier League clubs are going to be so important. We saw last season, Crystal Palace loan Conor Gallagher ended up being their player of the year. If you get the right 1 or 2, that can be so important. So and I'm sure there's a lot going on. There's a lot bubbling under the surface that we don't know about yet. So for me, it's those loan signings that are going to be absolutely critical. If they get it right, then there's no reason why Bournemouth can't have a really good season. And like I say, I think there's 5 or 6 clubs who they'll be looking at finishing above. And as you know, that first season, it's just about survival. You can have all the ambition in the world, but all you've got to do is build, get the more TV money in for the next season. Then FFP is less of an issue, and you can build the squad. So you've just got to survive this first season. And I think they're better than the clubs that were promoted last time who struggled. So let's see. There's going to be a lot of teams who are nervous about the upcoming season, and there's no reason why Bournemouth can't finish above all of them.
Fantastic. Gary, we hope you have a very, very good season, but we appreciate you giving us the time this morning on this fixture release video.
Yeah, great to speak to you guys. Good luck for the season.
Yep, stay with us as we close the show out, but thank you very much, Gary. Steve, it's going to be an interesting season. There's going to be some good days. There's going to be some tough days, but we're back in the Premier League. We're going to see some amazing footballers on the turf at Dean Court, and we've just got to soak it up as much as we can.
Yeah, we'll get to see the likes of Mark Travers and Lloyd Kelly and Don Solanke, all those those great players. No, it's gonna be great to be back again, and I think it's interesting when we talking about all the variables you're going to have this season with the World Cup and all that. So it will be interesting to see how it all pans out. So yeah, really looking forward to it. Going to get myself back on the road and check out a few more big Premier League grounds, and I'm sure it'll be really fun. I'm sure I'll see you guys along the way.
And Aaron, thanks for joining me on this video. Just give you a summary on today's fixture release, the season coming up. I mean, I know you're probably hoping for one fixture to maybe be rearranged, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting season.
Yeah, look, it's easy to say now. I'm feeling very philosophical about it. I've said before that after 5 years in the Premier League, when we got relegated and then Eddie left, I honestly didn't think for 1 second we'd ever get back up again. And I was, we're telling everyone we had it. We never thought we'd have it, and we had it. So to get back up again is just brilliant for me, because it's not easy. So whatever happens, I'm determined to enjoy it. With the boys and with all of you guys, and just enjoy it. And I think we've shown that we can. We're not going to fall back down to League One anytime soon. And if we go down, we'll be right back up there again. Hopefully at the top of the Championship. So. But let's enjoy the season. There's going to be some brilliant games. It is a daunting fixture list, but as the others have said, even the likes of Watford and Norwich, who were appalling last season, you get wins. Of course, you get wins, and we know from our time in the past, you get wins. And as I said before, any game other than the top 2 for me, you can get points off without a shadow of a doubt. So yeah, looking forward to it, and bring it on.
It's all real now. Bournemouth are back in the Premier League fixture list. I want to take this opportunity just to thank our supporter members who support the channel on every video. And thank you to Neil, Aaron, Sammy, Mark, Mike, Paul, Morgan, Richard, Mike, Roy, Carol, Mark, Steve, and Dan. You can become a channel supporter member by going to buymeacoffee.com/Cherries Red Army, or you can make a one-off donation, or you can just hit the like button, because that's just as good. But thanks for joining us on this video. Hit the subscribe as well if you're new to the channel. Thanks to Gary. Have a good season. Get that break in before it starts. Aaron and Steve, I'll catch up with you soon, and we'll join you soon on the next video from Cherries Red Army. See you soon. Up the cherries.